You've probably heard the news by now. President Biden is asking Congress to suspend the federal gasoline tax for 3 months. He's also encouraged state officials to consider similar relief. The idea here is that a tax holiday would ease the financial burden on American motorists who've been facing some steep prices at the pump. Nationally, the average price of gasoline is hovering just below $5 a gallon. Now, some people welcome this proposal, thinking that it will translate to reduced transportation costs. However, the move also has its critics, including among members of President Biden's own party. I'm Bob Goulder with Tax Notes. To help me make sense of the president's proposal, I'm joined by my colleague, Joe Thorndike. Together, we're going to explain why a gas tax holiday isn't necessarily a good idea, and we're going to do it all in 5 minutes. Joe, right from the start, tell me, how much is this tax? What does it fund? And how frequently does Congress adjust the rate?
Well, Bob, the federal gas tax, which is different than the gas taxes imposed at the state level, it's currently 18.4 cents per gallon. And you should feel free to commit that number to memory because it's not likely to change. It's been stuck at that number since 1993. Because the gas tax hasn't been adjusted for inflation over the last 30 years, it's declined in real terms. And that means that the things that the tax pays for, it's earmarked for infrastructure spending particularly, those things have been starved for revenue over those same 3 decades. Now, it's worth noting that the state gas taxes are generally a much bigger pain in the wallet than the federal one. The average state tax is something like $0.25 per gallon, but they range from a nice round 0 cents per gallon in Pennsylvania to 51 cents in California. Gas taxes are not new. They're not quite as old as the income tax, but they're decently gray-haired. The first one appeared in 1933. The tax really got rolling, though, when it was used to finance Dwight Eisenhower's interstate highway system in the 1950s. And ever since, it's been a mainstay of federal highway finance.
Now, some policy experts have a negative view of short-term tax holidays. They even refer to them as a gimmick. Well, technically, that might be true, but don't motorists deserve a break?
You know, look, Bob, I would love to give drivers a break. I mean, I'm a driver and I would love to pay less at the pump this summer. But here's the problem. A gas tax holiday is more likely to make things worse than it is to make things better. First, by lowering the price of gas, however modestly, a tax holiday would increase demand for gas. And soaring demand is half the reason that gas prices are so high this summer. The other half is limited supply due to the war in Ukraine and limits on refining capacity. But when demand outstrips supply, prices rise. So if we lower prices by removing the federal gas tax, demand will rise, but supply is going to stay the same. That'll push prices higher, negating much of the price benefit that comes from ditching the tax in the first place, maybe even all of it. The people behind the University of Pennsylvania's Penn Wharton budget model, they estimate that Biden's tax holiday might save people something like $5 to $14 over its 3-month existence, depending on where they live mostly. Now, that is not exactly big bucks. So let's put it this way. A tax holiday might not make our problems at the pump a whole lot worse, but they're probably not going to make them any better either. On the other hand, it would definitely make a lot of other problems a lot worse.
Well, okay. Tell me about some of these other problems that it would make worse.
Well, first of all, it's not clear that the benefits of a tax holiday are actually going to go to consumers. Economists think that like 80% of the tax cut could end up getting passed along to drivers at the pump, but it's possible that gas companies are going to keep prices steady and just pocket the tax cut for themselves. There's no way to know for sure ahead of time. Also, cutting the gas tax might be hard to undo. The tax has never been popular, which is why Congress has been unable to raise it all these decades. And once it's gone, are those politicians going to be brave enough to let it return? If they don't, what happens to all that infrastructure that it pays for? Congress has been talking for years, decades even, about how they should want to spend more money on bridges and roads and public transit and other big ticket items that make the economy hum. And that's great, but lawmakers have also never been able to agree on how to pay for all that stuff. Slashing the gas tax, even for a few months, would only make this problem worse. And for what? Like I said, it won't even save drivers any real money at the pump. This is all about optics, and it's just a bad idea.
There you have it, Joe. You've convinced me. Despite my initial knee-jerk reaction, it does sound like this proposed gas tax holiday isn't all it's cracked up to be. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Want more like this? Subscribe for more tax videos. Special thanks to our executive producers, Jasper Smith and Paige Jones, and showrunner and video editor, Jordan Parrish.